So, you guys managed to easily take down that dire lion.
We sure do.
Easily. And can continue your travels.
You joining in on this wine drinking, Cassius?
Sure. That's our
next
role
morning
so well.
wine.
The next leg of the journey is entirely uneventful.
It pairs well with my whiskey.
We got what we need for survival,
Oh yeah.
perception, and the next leg of the journey is successful without issue. And your final leg. The dice do not hate you guys at all tonight, aside from that one encounter. So you
The
will.
lion almost one hit me, so it kind of.
You will arrive back at the camp without dying.
Tom's officially been initiated to the club.
Well done, guys. Well done.
Oh man, guys. We're back to Conscripted. We're no longer the Lion King.
That was so many lions fought in this one trip.
The last few sessions have just been like, hey, lions. You could just replace it all with lions.
I swear to you, the odds of hitting lions are not that high on this chart either. It is one of the most impressive things. Like, I've gone back over my numbers, and it's only like a 12% chance to hit lions.
So upon returning to camp, my first thing that I would be doing is I'm just going to drop off my studded leather that I was borrowing for the armor.
Yep. They take a look over it and they're like, "Yep, thank you."
Yeah. And then I guess I would get Arius and I'd say, "You ready to do this?"
That I am, sir.
What time do we get into the camp?
It is early evening.
Okay. So can we track down? Oh, it's been so long. His name is
Tonelli.
Tanelli.
Come on, Jonicus.
I don't have my notes
Get
open
another
either.
this guy's name.
I remember her name once. I've heard it multiple times.
The big problem I have is I don't remember Tonelli's accent. I think I can remember it, but
Oak normally.
Just a hard
Roughly.
ass. Just a hard ass paper pusher.
all right.
Sounds like Teddy.
Stop trying to make everybody smell. I've almost said smell like Ted. All right.
Are you all coming with us, or you guys have stuff to do, or?
Well, when you if you're meeting with Tonelli for a
all
recap,
have to
you're
be
all
there.
supposed to be there because he needs to do a head count to make sure all of you survived.
Oh, well, in that case, I have stuff to do. No, I don't.
All right. So the five of you will wait, and eventually Tonelli will call you in. How are all of you? Good, I hope. Yes.
All alive this time.
Yes. Impressive. But we figured things should be improving for all of you. I assume by this point, if we've estimated correctly, you should have... You've been out for a while, but you should have had success there, yes?
Yeah. There was some initially uncalculated tasks involved in solving it, but we believe to have reached a better solution than just the brute force, actually. I would hope.
And what were these unexpected tasks?
We essentially had to show the guild that that there was more peace established in the region than they were believing there to be, which involved essentially a show of art on our behalf of that we could safely commute between the towns.
I thought they said something was hunting them, though. How did you get whatever was hunting them to stop?
So what was hunting them was not as unsentient as they originally thought. The creatures that are doing these attacks actually are sentient and have agreed to stop the attacks for the time being. We don't really know their power and their forces, so I guess we felt doing a sort of a diplomatic approach would be better than full-out war versus them.
And what method of diplomacy did you use with these people? How did you get them to decide that they should stand down? What deals were made?
We haven't actually reached the full logistics yet because we have to meet with them again in a month. Well, what time? How much time has passed now? So about six days, I'd say.
Since you made the deal, it has been about 10 days actually.
Okay, so about 3 weeks from now, which we've put onto our schedule.
About 2 weeks from now, not 3. The calendar is 10 days to a week, not 7.
Oh, okay. So yeah, about 2 weeks from now, we'll have to. We've had it on our schedule to reconvene with their leadership, and if we can reach a peaceful solution, that will hopefully result in much more long-term stability in the region. If we can't reach an agreement, then I guess there'll be no choice but to do a more military-like solution to it.
And what were these creatures? You said they were humanoids, but they weren't. How were they misunderstood to be monsters?
They're shapeshifters, I believe is what they're called.
There have been reports of others in the area. Can you describe some of them that you encountered?
I'm gonna make a knowledge nature just to see if I even know what a mantis is.
Okay.
Yeah. It has
because you got that picture made of it, right?
Right. I can describe what it is, but I wouldn't even know it's a mantis. Probably. I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it had long front legs and I basically
Arius, you know exactly what it
Perfect
is.
rendition made of the creature. I believe it's called a mantis.
I'm stumbling trying to explain these. A mantis is hard to describe. What the hell?
This is most concerning. What were your discussions? Like, how did you get them to stand down for even a period of 30 days?
The mantis had the option of potentially killing multiple members of our crew, and was able to be talked into not doing so, apparently.
Oh, so this was a failed mission that you somehow convinced him he should change his mind on?
Well, he would have essentially been killing members of us, and he would have probably died in his own. But then apparently there are more of them as well.
So, let me make sure I've got this clear. Out there is yet another group of people who are operating outside of the military's instructions, attempting to create hostility and problems in the land. And what were their demands?
Well, we haven't done the formal negotiations yet, but it sounds like one of the things that was causing problems is that they were being attacked as if they were not sentient. They were being hunted, and all they want is to be left alone. People are basically going into their homeland, destroying their homes, killing their people.
And what did they claim their homeland was?
I believe they said the plains, correct?
The plains. Look around you, Maldronicus. Look around you. Where are we right now?
Please tell me we're inside the tent.
Yeah.
We would be in a tent.
That'd be the smart-ass answer.
Tanelli turns and looks over at Cassius. Yes, very good. Now where is this tent? I believe Mal spoke it correctly.
Inside the camp. I'm not going to say that.
Maldronicus, part of why we accepted you here is we knew that you were more level-headed, but we did have some concerns that sometimes with the level head comes a little too much empathy when empathy may not be the right solution. We've encountered groups like this before, groups that believe that the land is theirs. Part of the biggest problem with dealing with goblins, oftentimes, is that is their belief. They have staked a claim to an area without any actual claim to that area, and they believe that it is theirs to take, and they simply attempt to stretch out more and more as their population increases rapidly. And unfortunately, many times, these civilizations do not last, and we have to cut them down, because they become a nuisance to other towns that are actually trying to abide by a proper system of rules and understanding for how growth should function. My concern is that you have now made arrangements with an organization that declares the entire plains their turf, and if you cannot deliver to them the plains back, then they will likely try to cut you down where you stand.
Well, that if their demands end up being unreasonable, we still don't know what their demands are, then we'll simply won't acquiesce to them. That was the whole point, was that they needed these. I've worked with goblins. There tend to be more simple-minded logic, but this individual seemed very capable of a higher level of reasoning to me.
Certainly. I can understand that you would perceive that, but what I can tell you is that you are potentially marching yourself into a trap when you go to visit him again on the 21st. You are taking his trust that he is not going to come there with a hidden squadron of his own team ready to take out yours on arrival.
Do you think they would be able to do such a thing with... We've sort of set up a rendezvous point that wouldn't really be ambushable.
The thing is, if what you're saying is true and they can shift between forms, you could just as easily see badgers and ferrets running around, and mantis, that are roaming around, and then all of a sudden become a giant threat to you. Our concern is not losing soldiers of your caliber to an ambush run entirely out of a good-minded heart.
I see. Is there anyone in this military that has experience with these shapeshifters that we might be able to consult with to better prepare ourselves for this situation?
This is the first we're hearing about them being organized. We've experienced some people have come back with reports of other shapeshifters, but none of them have said there's any order to it. But I can only assume that many of them have put them to death quite swiftly. Many of the groups that have survived them, we can't know which ones did not, but those that have encountered and survived them have all come back saying that they were slain to the last man.
See. And is there any way of... I guess this one... I'm not saying this to Nelly. Would I know that my magic is able to detect types of shapeshifting? Or is Arius able to, as a shapeshifter himself?
So, shapeshifting isn't necessarily magical. Shapeshifting can be supernatural, and so will not detect via detect magic. And while they were shapeshifted, neither of you used detect magic, nor did Sphinx, so none of the three of you are aware of whether or not that was magical.
Okay, that's fair. I see, so I'm trying to think what sort of situation... The problem is if we don't do this negotiation, then it just will be full-out war, which we don't actually know their numbers, which is the problem. Yes. I don't know if full-out war versus an unknown threat is a good idea. Obviously, we're risking our lives in doing this type of negotiation, but if we don't, we may just be lost just as easily in the war to come.
Well, in the time to come, for now, we will work on a plan. You will have a mission that you will need to take care of, I'm sure of, shortly. You'll need to head back out to Mukmak. And pick up now that we have a better evaluation, a better understanding of their current level of wealth, we'll be expecting a much larger tribute. However, we want to offer them a gift in exchange for this tribute. So before I go any further, though, right now, are you currently renting an item from the tent?
I was renting my studded leather. I returned that. I look around. Is anyone else renting items?
You guys were renting that tent, correct?
Yeah, we
I
didn't
believe
buy
so.
it. I
Oh,
don't
was
think
that a
they let
rented
us buy
tent?
it.
Yeah.
They didn't
I
let
don't
us
think
buy
we were
it.
able to
I thought we
buy
bought
it.
it last time we were here.
I don't think they let us buy it. If they did,
Yeah, I don't think we
did,
were
but
allowed to.
I don't think we
Yeah.
were allowed.
They
to.
don't have tents for sale here. They have
Yeah.
tents to rent here.
Asked about it.
Okay.
Yeah. You would have to, if you wanted to buy a tent, you would have to buy the tent from elsewhere.
We returned the studded leather, and yes, there is a tent that is still in our possession.
Okay. Well, if you can, return the tent, get back your rental writ, and I will upgrade your rental potential. In the meantime, we will work on the strategy for your current project. It is in our best interest, and of course your best interest, to resolve this in the most efficient and least problematic style. We are currently dealing with problems that were much greater and much more unexpected in the mountains of the north. And so if we can resolve this peaceably, then that might be in our best interests.
Because, especially as you said, the plains are a very wide area, and so if they occupy a lot of these plains, then we basically are flanking ourselves on every direction.
Exactly. The other thing that I'm going to ask for you to do on your Muckmack trip, and I know this may be a lot for you, but it is imperative that we get word out to the Crimson Council.
Oh, this I would gladly. Let's see. Let me see. That would actually. Can we pull up the world map for a sec?
Absolutely.
Just.
So the Crimson Council is here in Kumoa, and Muckmack is here. So it's a bit of a travel out of the way. You're going to have to travel, I think it's like 40 miles. Yeah. So it's 40 miles to Muckmack, and then 40 miles to Kumoa.
But with our lesser sleeping arrangements. So are we basically at what would you say is a fair estimate of our miles per day at them? Since we're sleeping so little.
Hold on. So as it stands right now, with your current sleeping arrangement and your travel time, you could easily do like a trip to each in a single day.
Well, that would be if we were sleeping longer, right?
No, the reduced sleep time. So this is where numbers start to get a little bit complicated in this.
Okay.
But your travel time is going to come out to be roughly, like, you can get there a little faster than a day at the current distance traveled. But there's only so far you can run the horses until the horses are going to get exhausted.
Oh, I see.
So your timer is still kind of set by you can push the horses further, but the more you push them, the more more time they're going to need to rest afterwards. So you could theoretically kind of force march their horses to here, do what you need to here, and then go to Kumoa the next day and sort of force march your way there in one day. But then you're going to probably have to rest in Kumoa or somewhere else for a little while to recover.
Okay. I see. I wasn't realizing that the time traveled per day is capped by the horse.
Yeah, it's the same reason your movement is actually capped at 16 miles. You can go further, but as you go further, you're pushing yourself beyond like what the normal human body can take between breaks and needing to eat and needing to hydrate.
Sure. Yes, we should be able to do so. Would there be any other tasks? There's a number of things that members of my party have expressed interest in following up on. I want to be sure that everyone in my party is being taken care of. So if we do these tasks, one would be the timeline for the next thing that you need from us.
You're not due to visit Mukmak again until the 11th, so you have time now. We don't have an exact estimation for when Kumoa needs to be done, but the sooner the note can get to Kumoa, the better. The Crimson Council could possibly provide some reinforcements to the units we've sent to the mountains in the north, or at least get us some more reconnaissance on on what's going on at the north. As of right now, we have not had messengers reliably return with information about what is going on up there, and we believe that there is a very severe threat up there, which may be spreading outside of that area.
I see. Okay. It's been 5 days since incident at Comminster?
It has been 9 days since,
9 days. Okay.
10 days since the incident at Comminster. Wait, hold on. Make sure this math is right. No, or you mean since the incident at Luke Hill? Since you fought the shifters?
No, since Sphinxor did the sort of bad thing. I'm just trying to get an estimate of how much time we need to kill before we can help Tom with this thing.
Oh, okay. So that happened on the 27th. So that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Yeah.
5 days. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We can take care of this business in Mukmak and Kamoa, and then we would have some quick business in Comminster if the timing works out. How long do you think it'll take you guys to formulate a plan that you'll have us ready to act upon with the Luke Hill situation and these sentient beasts?
We would hope to have something before you're slated to be there. What day are you to meet them?
We are slated to meet them on, I guess I didn't do the exact math.
It's the 21st.
21st.
That does not leave us much time, but that should be enough. Let's expect that we should have something for you by the 15th.
Okay. Okay. So then I would just say to the party, is everyone okay with going to Mukmak and Kamoa and then following up on Zeke's thing at Minster, and then from there we'll plan to go back to camp and see what they have planned for us for this Luke Hill encounter?
I mean, I don't think the first two are optional, but yes.
Well, yes, it's more of a matter of sequencing, I guess, was my point.
Yeah, none of them are optional.
True, Zeke.
So let's talk about your sequencing then. So is your sequencing going to be Mukmak then Kumoa, or Kumoa then Mukmak?
It would be very inefficient to go to Kamoa first anyways, because we would basically be doubling back on ourselves.
Well, you're already doubling back if your plan after that is to go to Comminster, unless you're just planning to pass to the camp and then go to Comminster following.
But it sounds like the Kamoa thing is fairly, I guess we would be going back the other way regardless.
Yeah, one way or another, you're going to partially double back on yourself.
Yeah, okay.
It's just up to you how you want to do it.
If the Kamoa thing sounds pretty urgent, then I guess that would be our first priority action.
Okay.
Is this threat that's growing in the mountains, is it anything we need to be aware of while traveling?
So far, we've not seen any signs of it pushing up too much further than the outskirts of the mountains. But again, we have not gotten reconnaissance back in a number of days. So we do have some concerns that perhaps it has spread, or it may simply be that reconnaissance that goes out tends to find itself engaged in the fight as well. We do believe that the numbers that we have sent out there are depleting pretty rapidly.
Do we know anything more specific about the threat, or is it just that there appears to be a loss of numbers of them?
You are not at a classification level at this point that we can discuss too much of the details as it stands right now. When we have determined that you are of a more substantial rank, we can discuss the deeper parts, the deeper complexities of the issues there.
Okay. So long as just be aware that if it's something that's endangering our party, by not telling us information that could help save our party, you potentially waste a very useful resource.
Well, as it stands right now, we're not putting you at any substantial danger. We're in fact making sure you stay out of the way of the potential danger.
Okay, that seems fair to me.
What would be beneficial, however, I do not know the terms that you are on with the Wizard of Kazarim, but he has access to particularly powerful scrying, and most importantly, scrying that could potentially break through barriers that might prohibit it otherwise. If you are on good terms with him, perhaps you could discuss our predicament and get him to engage in some indirect conversation with us. So we might have him pierce the veil over there and potentially identify what the severity of what is going on there is.
Yeah, we should be able to follow up on all these things before the 15th.
Excellent. Then I think that will do us quite well.
In regards to logistics, this expanded writ, what does it now include?
There are a number of items you will have access to with this writ. These items are yours to rent. In addition, there are specific... How do I explain this in... So we have titles for it, but the titles are meaningless things to state. There are certain people in our employ that you can bring along with you with the writ as well if you did not want to take items. If perchance you needed a healer or perhaps somebody to give you some specific other thing, to have specific other things taken care of. These people would not be significantly proficient at those things, but they would be better than having nothing if you happen to be lacking in some category.
I see. We'll discuss as a party if there's anyone that would be useful to us.
Thank you.
And then in the meantime, I believe Arius would like to present the reports from our activities in Luco.
Excellent.
So
I hand you the slip.
yeah, I'll take it and I'll walk up to Tonelli and I'll say, in here is the gnome there. I don't think he gave us his name, but I was caught trying to steal one of the hats they lent us to complete a mission. So I'm just letting you know I'm actively changing my behavior.
As to not get caught.
It was a it was a poor decision. I'm handing it to him and I'm just like rambling. Poor decision, changing, not.
He
doing
unrolls it and reads over it.
I did offer to help the gnome retrieve the hat and everything, but he didn't want my help, so
All right, Arius.
he got it back in the end of the day.
Mal, we're going to do something a little different here. Normally, it would be your orders to determine punishment for Arius. In this case, however, I think that it should be up to your group. There does need to be some repercussions for these actions. You could have easily put us in jeopardy with Lukil. If we did not have a gleaming reputation there, they very likely would have broken ties with us, and we would have had to have resumed forceful activities against them. So, Mal, you may not vote in this decision. So, Zeke and Cassius and Spinks, what are your thoughts on punishments for Arius?
Out of character. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him.
I'd just like to. This is not a selfish thing or anything. I'm just reminding the party that I covered some costs from punishment earlier.
I'm gonna need to see a diplomacy roll.
I would say that seems fair that I can't vote. I would just note that it's worth.
Damn it.
We've encountered a lot of hostile things while just traveling.
Mal,
It is-
I'm going to stop you. Your heart is in the right place, and again, that is why you are leading. But my concern is that your heart, in this case, might be a little bit too defensive of somebody who has potentially caused great harm to the military. And so we are trying to do this in a different way. So I will need you to sit silently and allow this to happen. I know that that may be hard for your ego to handle, but this is very important.
I tap Arius on the shoulder and I will exit the tent.
Okay.
As to nothing.
So, Sphinx has no opinion about punishing Arius. In fact, she doesn't really feel comfortable punishing Arius at all.
What are like the punishment options? Like,
You choose. You determine. What do you think is an appropriate punishment for Arius nearly causing the military not to be compensated and nearly causing the party to be potentially executed?
I think that's a lot for that.
That would be treason. If you lost that would be not. I guess treason's not really the word because they're not the
2,000
overwhelming
gold hat
government.
puts the whole alliance at risk?
That's a significant amount of money that you've cost the company or that you cost the city,
They got it back.
and it diminishes the trust relationship between the military and that city. It means that they have to worry now: is the military not vetting its troops properly? It could have the city itself could have determined that that is a substantial amount, incarcerated all of you, and that would have basically been the end of the party that way as well. Because Mal is supposed to be responsible for you.
Like I said, I'm trying to redeem myself, so I accept whatever punishment you guys want to bestow upon me.
I'd like to roll a knowledge law to know what sort of punishments historically.
Do you even have
inflicted
ranks
upon
in
them.
knowledge law?
No.
Okay.
Is law a thing?
Yes. Now
Yeah,
it's not in the book, but it is a knowledge that exists in my game.
Oh, I see. So it's
Yeah,
something that I should-
The law of
my
the
goblin
nature.
in the other game is a lawyer. He has huge knowledge law.
Oh, interesting.
And Akun-san is a
I don't-
very, very, very structured city. So neither of you have a punishment in mind.
I mean,
I'm not a creative person. I can't think of anything on the spot like this.
I reckon I don't know enough about exactly what would have or
Yeah, I don't think
Could
I've
have
ever seen
happened.
anybody get punished, so I don't really know what sort of punishments are dealt out in situations like this.
Fine.
and
Well.
yeah, I don't know enough about the whole.
Arius, it's your lucky day. Your tribunal has determined that you will not be punished this time. Clearly, your potential threat to them does not make them feel that you need any sort of re-education.
To be clear, Tonelli, I've expressed to everyone that I'm actively changing my behavior, and I've put forth some things in motion to show that, so perhaps they were thinking of this when they were unable to think of punishments for me.
Perhaps. Or perhaps they fear the repercussions of lashing out against a person who has twice been ousted for what I believe is a seat he wanted.
No. It can't be that. By the way, Tonelli, I'll hand him a pouch of 50 gold. This is for my behavior and recommend, like, putting it towards helping fix this whole thing. If this will help.
Thank you.
Bribe him.
No, I'm just because I probably cost some money by doing this, probably. So this probably helps. I don't know.
Okay, so you guys will also, I'm assuming, render over the payment from Lukil. He will change over your writ, and you will be dismissed.
All right, yeah, we'll go outside and meet up with Meldronicus.
Yep.
Now, these wonderful party members of ours have chosen not to submit me to any punishments. Perhaps things are looking up for me after I've been changing my ways. I also gave Tonelli 50 gold to help smooth things over. Hopefully that goes to where he puts that towards anything I may have caused with that incident.
I'm glad to see you alive and well. And again, I keep hoping that you continue to adapt your abilities to better purposes than petty theft.
I agree. I'm made for much more than that.
Again,
Yeah.
like I said,
Grand larceny or nothing.
I tend to be someone who prefers diplomacy over violence, but if continue to endanger the party, my diplomatic nature too will at one point have to end as well. So, but I believe you to be changing, and I'm glad that no punishment was chosen to be administered.
Yes, thank you, Cassius and Zeke and Sphinx. I appreciate. Although it sounded like you just couldn't think of something, but maybe you just.
I was inspired by Sphinx's uncaring attitude.
Her neutrality.
Out of character, if they were gonna force me to punish you, I was gonna brand your face.
Damn.
Yeah. I would say
Jesus.
at least this way the people know that he has.
I
I was
habits.
trying to think of some ironic punishment, but I couldn't come up with anything.
I don't think Arius would stand for that. Brand his face. I think I'd fight to the death over that.
That is actually something that can be done if you wish to deny the orders of your
By
superior.
combat. Because like I'm supposed to be, I have like high charisma, so I think I value like my looks a little bit.
Brand it with what? What would be branded onto it?
I don't know. That would have some sort of mark of like a
You could always brand that sword onto his face, but since you don't have like the proper ranks, it would just end up looking like a penis.
Oh no, my branding's actually pretty good because I do it on armors. It's just I
Oh.
don't. I was actually talking about this with Steve. I just can't color well because I don't have any coloring.
It's
But
as somebody who's previously worked in some level of craftsmanship, he has some level of like being able to draw outlines of things. I would actually say that your ability to draw people is not great, which is why that picture was accurate. You had little goblins that you drawn in there, is what it looked like to him. But if you're making like squared off or like curved lines, you're very good at doing the stuff that a craftsman can do when they have a drafting board in front of them, right? You need to make a chair, you need to make a weapon, you like draw it out, but that's a lot of lines, straight lines, some curves here and there. But that's not going to get you like the same lines you're going to draw when you're drawing a person. It's like asking an architect to draw your webcomic. You're probably going to get stick figures with really beautiful houses in the background.
Yep. So, so now that we're outside, I would say, okay, so essentially we'll take a day of downtime here, but it sounds like there's some pretty big urgency, so we'll be leaving first thing in the morning, to contact about reinforcements. Zeke, I know you still want to resolve on this Comminster incident. My stance is still the same. I'm not endangering Sphinx Aura, but I believe we can accomplish all these things in the time of doing these other tasks. This ward that has been placed on Sphinx Aura should expire, and we can safely follow up.
I was gonna say, since we're in camp, there's probably someone here that maybe can dispel it, just to be extra safe. We can still wait some time, but
I don't think this camp employs many extremely high power spellcasters, do they? Would this be something?
don't know.
I thought we were put into a unit because we are very rare magical abilities.
That is part of it, but you also know that there are a good number of clerics that are walking around. You're not sure what their power, what their level of ability is, but there are quite a few clerics that do walk around. They tend to do a lot more of the paperwork stuff, or healing up as people come back into town. And they had enough to make sure that somebody didn't die from mummy rot when they arrived with it.
I don't think it hurts to ask.
Yeah, we certainly have the day to kill here. Could we flag down a cleric and ask if there's who the highest ranking cleric here is?
Certainly. Somebody give me a diplomacy. Or a knowledge nobility.
I can give either of those. My nobility is better.
Okay. Okay, either way, you those will both get you what you need to know. So you would know that the highest level cleric here has access to 4th level spells. They
I
are...
thought maybe clerics have dispel magic.
So a 4th level cleric, hold on, will have access to Dispel Magic, if I'm not mistaken. That, I believe, is a 3rd level spell.
Can't remember how dispel magic works in Pathfinder. It's only temporary though, right? It doesn't.
Well,
like,
I
break
think
the
it
spell
has
with
to
it?
be able to break the caster level.
I'm pulling it up. Give me 1 sec. I want to make sure I
What
get the
about
level right.
remove
and
disease and remove curse?
It is not a curse.
Oh no,
Yeah, you
no. I mean, but what? It's not regular mummy rot.
No, so Dispel Magic would potentially get rid of it. It's just going to be a very difficult check to make, potentially. Because it's going to depend on how powerful the creator of the spell was.
And from my knowledge of magic, I would know that we wouldn't be able to tell if it worked. Would we be able to tell if it worked or not?
You would not have any way to know whether or not it worked.
Oh. I guess we'd
Oh,
have to
I
wait
would-
to be safe anyway then. Never mind, I guess.
Okay.
I was asking if they had any way to cast remove curse and remove disease.
Well, they have access to those. There are some things that doesn't quite that aren't quite removed the same way as easily. So they've already tried on you to take care of your condition.
So they tried the what's the to remove it the way that it would normally be removed.
Yes. Actually, give me. Do you have any ranks in diplomacy or?
Sure do. Got +8 to it.
Go for it. Okay, so you do a bit of inquiring. You're like, wait, there's a cleric that can cast like high level magic. Like, why am I not cured? And the more you start asking these questions, the worse the answers seem to get. Like, people are very dodgy about the answers to this question. People are like telling you one thing, but it doesn't quite fit with something that somebody else told you. But eventually, you get enough pieces of it to figure out that what you have might not simply be mummy rot. And then, with your sense motive, you can kind of start to piece together that perhaps there was a reason that Maldronicus was so interested in keeping track of what your marks were doing and how they were happening.
Speaking of, how are those looking nowadays?
I haven't followed up on them yet.
Well, he would be able to see... Oh, no, because he can't see your markings. So, to you, they look just fine. They look like they are shrinking.
But that's because, I mean, I saw him cast stuff on them, right?
You did see him cast stuff on them, on them, but they are not visible to you. What he cast is not visible to you.
Okay, got it. Huh. Interesting.
So perhaps there's more to talk about.
How long has it been? So I did that to you before we got into.
Yeah, that was like 4 days ago.
I would say, if you're expressing
yeah.
interest, I would say I can follow up and see. I was going to give it a week, but
no, further than that. That was like 6 days ago.
Okay, then yeah, perhaps we could do that while we're in a well-lit encampment, so that I would say, is that your wish, Cassius?
I'm sorry, I only heard like half of what you said.
Yeah, there was a little bit of cutting out there that happened.
Oh, I would say it's probably been long
my
enough.
connection got slowed down for whatever reason.
But I guess it was for everybody, so it was me. Yeah, then let's go take a look and see if your stuff is spreading.
All right.
Okay, so you guys can head off, and Mal, go ahead and give me a perception.
Okay.
It is quite a bit. It is quite a bit buffed because you do have the markings. Excellent. So you look over stuff, and the one thing you notice, and now that for some reason Cassius, when he starts looking at things seem to be a little bit more clear to you. Like you start noticing what he's doing, and like you can trace the lines of where his veins are as they run through his arm, and they have gotten thicker. And the scar, well, it's not larger. Oh, I need to take that in just a minute. The scar, while it has not gotten larger, it is like different in texture. But not necessarily. Give me a. Do you have any ranks in heal or knowledge? Knowledge. Well, no. This would be actually knowledge arcana here.
Oh my god! I get to make an Arcana roll.
You do.
I do not. I have spellcraft, but no knowledge arcana.
Oh my god. All right.
Yeah.
So
Finally get to use my one damn knowledge.
So this is a very high roll. You definitely are sure that this is some kind of magical disease. Like, this has taken hold in a way that you've not seen before. But it looks like something is slowly changing aspects of what he is. As you're kind of examining things, you then, like, quickly put your hand around his arm, because you remember doing this before, and your hand doesn't quite feel like it can go around his arm the same way. And, like, as you look at the marking, you notice that while the scar has not grown larger, the distance between where the marking is and where his, like, mouth is seems like it's changed as well. Something about this disease is very clearly magical in nature. It's taking a hold on him in a way that a regular disease couldn't quite take a hold of a person.
Appears to be changing his physiology, basically.
Huh.
Would I draw that conclusion?
Yes, you can draw that conclusion safely.
In our travels, Cassius, have you felt that in any way, shape, or form that your new training or new whatever routine you've been doing would be causing any sort of transformation of your body?
Well, you guys discuss this. I'm going to step away for just a moment.
Yeah. You're not of the magical lineage like the rest of us, are you?
No, nothing I know of. I mean,
And I might fear the worst for you. I believe if this disease is left to run, you're probably slowly going to be changing into something other than yourself.
fantastic. I'd ask, but that's probably information that I'm not supposed to have from that there book.
Yeah, I can ask Steve if I know anything specific. He hasn't told me anything related to that.
You don't have the book still, do you? It was.
I
I don't think he does.
No.
I read the entirety of the book, and I'm like
Oh.
massively
it all?
intelligent,
Okay.
so I
And
could
you
probably an
skimmed it.
intelligence roll.
Okay.
And you used to skim on it, right?
Yeah. Steve basically says that any relevant details, the major things I would have made a note of. If it was like a more minor detail, then I might have some.
Well, I saw stuff start to black out as I was trying to read it, so I'm
Right.
guessing that it's probably not something that I
That you
should have
yourself know,
knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that it's something that I myself both don't know, and given the nature of that book, probably aren't supposed to know. But you seem to know enough about, well, what to do with it, well, as much as you can anyways. I ain't got no reason not to trust you.
Yeah, if I'm keeping information from you, it's specifically because I don't want you to overreact. But
Yeah,
at this point, it appears clear that I should let you know that you do appear to be under a much more severe condition than I think your mummy rot was originally projected.
fantastic.
The Candor rot.
However,
You said the Candor rot?
Yep.
Better get my sanity score. Wait, I actually do have a sanity score. Damn it.
how long have you
Sure
been?
do.
How long has it been now since you contracted this?
I
I guess I could.
don't remember specifically, but it was
Steve will
But I'll
be able
tell
to
you-
tell us if you don't remember. Is
Yeah, I
it
think
months?
I think it was right before I joined the party when I was with my other party. I think the last thing that happened was we went into we were in a cave or something, and then I came back here, and then I joined the party. I think so. I think it was a matter of probably a week tops beforehand, but
Before joining the party, and you've been with this unit now how long? Before I joined?
I joined. Well, I don't know offhand exactly when, but I joined at the same time Sphinx did, roughly.
See, we're trying to figure out.
So he joined the party on the 9th of Virdum. So he's been in the group for about 22 days.
Okay, so approximately 30 days have passed since you've contracted this condition, and just now, physiology altering things are starting to show up. So I guess this would lead me to believe that there's still time, but if we start seeing more progressive things, we may need to move up the resolution of this condition higher on the chart. But at the moment, it sounds like there's very critical things that we must address with the military before that. So,
Hey Steve, do I feel different after having read that book and gained that sanity score?
Not quite yet.
Okay, because he asked if there was anything that had changed, like magically since then, and since I haven't gained any spells yet, that would be the only thing that I would be able to think of that maybe. But if I haven't, then I haven't.
Okay.
yeah, then I would definitely be deducing that this is from the disease and not from some magical elements or whatever, like with Arius, for example.
Right.
Fantastic.
I would say then, in case something does need to get resolved, then I think our new plan of action will be, since to be more efficient, Kazaram, Kamoa, Buckmack, Minster, and then back to. And we'll do a slight forced march to get to Kazaram in a day. And then the rest we can do one day each. Kamoa is less, so we could actually get a longer. The horses won't have to travel even a full day to get to Kamoa from Kazaram. And then from Mukmak, it'll be about a full day again.
Sounds good.
So
Excellent.
that way we're just splitting it up into about a day each. Okay.
All right.
Someone
So,
else has anything else to do?
to let you know, by the way, your new writ is basically another 2,000 gold, but this writ has to be spent on one item that you rent. So you can basically get one item from the camp with a value of up to 2,000 gold, and you can get up to a size large tent as a rental as well.
In addition to the 2,000 gold.
In addition to the 2,000 gold, you get a large tent.
Ooh, we've unlocked size large tent.
Yep. Without purchase, size large tent.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, we have a wagon now because I'm not carrying that shit, even with my strength score.
Yeah, well,
How heavy is it?
a large tent, I think that's like 50
Is it like my
pounds.
entire encumbrance?
I think it's about 50 pounds. I don't think it's quite your full encumbrance, but... a large tent is 40 pounds. And it holds 4 people and takes about 45 minutes to assemble.
Okay.
Anyone have any thoughts about this 2,000 gold and upgrade and renting ability?
No, the 2,000 gold writ is the same writ, right?
The 2,000 gold writ is you can buy one item with 2,000 gold and you get a large tent.
Oh, this is an additional writ. It's
Correct.
not the same writ. Oh.
It's all part of the same thing. So you hand it over and you say we want our large tent, or you can get smaller tents if you want. You can also get 2 medium tents or 4 small tents. But it's some combination of tents. And you have one item of up to 2,000 gold that you can acquire.
remember. There's
All right, time for the shopping session. Time to spend an hour and a half trying to figure out what we want before we take off.
There was actually, if we want to lessen the burden on Arius every night, there was one other thing that was, but it was less useful than the other stuff initially. I'd say though, we're at the moment we'll just do our sleep and then be waking up in the morning. I'll just look at this passive.
Okay. All right, so you guys can rest for the evening, and think about what to spend on that money, since it is quite what to spend that money on. While you sleep. Here in the camp, it is not. You're not really going to find that dreams will find you. Sleep here isn't quite as sound as when you're laying in a nice, comfy bed. And
You
then
said this camp moves around, right? It's like mobile. Like
it can move around. They've been stationary in this place for quite a while, though. Give me a. Do you have either knowledge history or a knowledge nobility?
Sorry. I have no knowledge nobility.
Okay. So you like from hanging out around the camp here and there and overhearing some things, you've kind of learned that like there's a bit of a conflict that's going on in the area. So over here, Catheros is the capital city of RA4. And it has basically been kind of keeping a perimeter lock on everything up to the mountains. The military still has some pull in some of these areas, but it's not as strong because of Catheros' push. They've been working to build their own military, but there have been a large number of problems that keep happening in the plains. And so the camp is really spending the military is spending a lot of its time trying to reinforce its control over the plains. And this new incident that's happened in the mountains is really putting a damper on their ability to kind of push their way back forward to getting the rest of the country under its proper control. And the camp is also concerned because right now, the way that this sort of not civil war is happening, if there was an attack from another country, at present, like the country is at high risk of falling to such an attack. The only reason they assume that this probably hasn't happened, especially with some recent news they've had, is that the waters have been especially troubled the last few years.
Okay. My question would have been like, I don't know if I could ask around, like, is there anyone, or do any people, military members, have like permanent like little houses or tents that like the military will like set up for them or keep for them or something?
Sure.
Like,
Give
would
me
there
another
be a
knowledge.
place I could buy or something.
Give me another knowledge nobility.
Sure.
Okay. So with that, you do know that there are members of the military that do own property. Some of them actually like own tent space within the main tent. So if we go back to the camp, so there is actual space that you can allocate within the Stormlord's tent. Or they can buy you certain places. Like the military has people who work in specific cities as envoys to the military. And they report back findings or other things that may have happened. But that typically is only in either cities or very large towns. So it's likely, now that you're kind of inquiring about this, that while you were in like Lukill, which is a fairly large town, it's very likely there was probably an envoy stationed somewhere in that town that reports back to the military. But since the issue you're dealing with wasn't a Lukill problem, you would have never had any reason to have encountered that envoy. But you assume that the group that you went out with before, the Pretty Boys, most likely talked with that envoy from time to time if there were problems in that area. And most envoys are like given property to live on, or many people will buy property. If they like an area, they might buy property to go back and forth to stay on during their leave time. And the higher up the chain you go, the greater your like responsibility risk is. So you're able to get more time off, though, as a compensation, because like you're going out and dealing with major problems, but it's going to take you much more recovery time, and you're going to need a lot more downtime to deal with like the trouble of mentally of what you've dealt with.
Okay. Yeah. So before we leave, I just want to get a hold of Tonelli and ask him if he can tell me what happened to the Pretty Boys first of all, because I've been asking around them. And
Okay.
they've been out of commission and stuff like that. I never really got an answer what happened to them, and also like how I would go about like buying basically want to buy like a place I could do like with like sorceress research.
Okay.
Try to learn a new spell or something like that.
So you can meet with Tonelli. He'll accept your meeting. Aries, it's surprised that you'd returned. What do you need?
I asked around for that group I was with first. They called themselves the Pretty Boys or whatever.
Yes.
You kept alluding that I would get their names eventually, but I never did. And when we went to their town that they were looking after, everyone said they were indisposed and no one really knew what happened to them, so no one would tell us.
I was a little... Okay. Since you're where you're at with us, I'll break this to you carefully. I've been resistant to give you their names as of late because I'm not sure they're coming back. Part of our interest in being able to look into that location is we're worried we might have lost people there, and we're worried they may be some of them. They were supposed to have come back about 5 days ago. That was their slated return time, and they have not returned. We sent another force out there that was supposed to replace them. The Pretty Boys have not returned yet. We hope that perhaps it is just complications there and they're still alive and fighting. But like I said, we've lost all communication with them. And I worry about giving you their names because, as we've found historically, giving someone's name makes them closer. And it means that if they pass, they feel worse in their passing.
Understandable.
If it is,
Well, I hope.
If it is really your concern to know who they were, I will make you a deal. If you can accomplish the tasks we've asked you to set forward, I will not only give you their name, but I will open up their dossier to you, their accomplishments, who they are, and what their skills are. And I might have a twofold reason for this, and I'll try to break this to you carefully right now. If they die, it's your group we're going to want to send in next as a reconnaissance group if we do not get any success with the Crimson Council. We will try to make sure we have properly scryed upon the area first before sending you in. But if by the time you've returned back and you've dealt with this issue that you've created in Kminster, you will likely be responsible for at least gathering up the lost goods that they have, if possible. You may make a trip out there to retrieve them, but that will depend on your skills and the order at which your group is able to or the ability of your group to maintain proper order.
All right. I like that. I really want to know what happened to them.
As do we.
As a side note, I'm looking at trying to establish myself more, and I want to look into purchasing a piece of property that I can turn into my personal research facility to more spells. Can you help me with this endeavor, or?
So, the property will be yours to locate. If you want it to be property of ours that you are using under our privilege and that is your domicile for the remainder of your lifetime, we can compensate you on the maintenance costs of that property. But you'll need to provide the greater portion of the forward investment. But we will provide things like foot soldiers to guard it. We'll provide things like the means of having hydration there, having food and other people there to facilitate other things you might need within the establishment.
And how much is this cost I'm looking for this?
You would pay 70% of the costs.
Okay. And it's up to me to find this property, and then just whatever it costs, I know I'd have to pay 70% of it? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Then we will pay taxes and maintenance fees as well as employment fees. So you show us that you want the land, and we will secure the land for you, and you have it for as long as you live.
Okay.
And if you sire others, and they are in our employ, the land will remain theirs so long as they are ours.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you, Tonelli.
Thank you.
I'll rejoin the party.
Okay.
I'll let them know about that I was asking about my previous group and stuff, and we may have another task to go look at what happened to them in the future. But yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to do here before the night ends?
There's not much to do here for me.
Okay. Any ideas for what you want to spend the writ on?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Oh, I see. So you're thinking of
Yeah, I was suggesting this Iron Spike, a safe passage. It gives us like a 15-foot illusion that essentially blends something into the environment behind it. So like for our cart or our tent.
Okay, hold on one sec. Let me take a look at this. I'm sorry, I can't see what you guys post up in the Discord text. Because I have to be in the video and I can't really tab out because it's what's displaying the... It's another one of the reasons Zoom was something I was thinking about using.
Okay, that's fine.
And also handy haversack is 2K, so I mean that's something that we could consider also.
Yeah, normally I would always love to get one, but it's like it feels useless in our party, right?
Well, because we have a cart, I mean, I don't know how much we would really need it.
And we're high strength. Like, I think every one of us can carry their stuff pretty easily. The haversack is always nice for if there's like a wizard that like dumped strength, but none of us were able to dump strength, right?
Okay, so tell me what your plan is then for this iron spike if you're going to use it. It's a 15-foot diameter centered on the spike. So let's jump over real quick. I'll jump us over to the campsite, and we can discuss like how you feel this would roll out for this. Let me stop the music because you're not actually sleeping. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, you'd have like the cart like half hidden in like bushes or trees, and then you just throw it up, next to it.
Okay, and then have it like.
Or same thing for the tent. Like we could have the tent, like in a bushy area or whatever, and then you just fill in the rest of it to make it more concealed with the iron spike.
Okay, but you'd want to stop in places where there's some sort of natural like concealable stuff when you do this at that point.
Yeah, like I mean, just just for the like if we're just straight up in the middle of the plains with nothing around, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really help there.
Okay.
You could still make it look like trees or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, we could do that, but I mean, I think it's only 15 feet, right? So.
Yeah, it is 15 feet high and 15 foot in diameter.
Mm-hmm. So it just by itself.
Yeah, so like a large tent. Let me go back to the tents. A large tent is, I believe, 20 by 20.
And then it would be especially useful if, we had somewhere like a cave or something with a door that we would conceal.
Yeah.
Like, it would be especially useful for that.
Yeah, that's probably more useful than the lantern and doesn't require any extra gold.
Yeah, because with the lantern also, I mean, it's just 120 by 20. So, I mean, that's...
lantern?
Well, the reason it's useful is because it's a 30 by 30, and it also...
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant, was that it was 30 by 30 instead of the 20 by 20s that we have.
And it also shines a light on whatever pops it off, which I thought was going to be useful for you guys that don't have dark vision. because we kind of rely on our torches. But if something's far off in the distance and sets off an alarm, normally we don't actually get to see it until it comes into the campfire range. But it's
Well, I think with all of us with the ion torches, that's not really that big a deal.
yeah, it's more just you guys. None of you guys are range anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Hmm.
If one of you guys was range, it could be potentially useful.
Okay, so the camp itself does not have this item. They do have a catalog of items to look at, but the camp itself does not have this item. But what they can do is, since you're going to Comminster, they can give you a writ that will allow you to procure it for the military. It will become part of the military's inventory, and you'll be carrying it so long as like you've handed this writ over. Your rental writ to them, then they hand you the writ to get the other item, and then that can go back to that when you're finished with the item, you would obviously return it and then exchange it or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so that gives us another reason then to go to Comminster.
Yep.
So,
You could also get it if eventually you went to I'm sorry, I did not mean Comminster right there. I first meant you're going to Comminster and you're going to
the orders were going to Caracas.
not Caracas.
How is it pronounced? Kazaram.
Kazaram. Yeah, so Kazaram has magical items there that are in a moderate value, as does Comminster. So you're likely to find it in either of those two places.
Yeah,
But-
that seems fine.
Okay.
It's not going to make or break us now that we have alarm, but I think that seems more useful than anything else. Like I said, haversack is like I just don't see any use for it for our party in particular.
Okay. Excellent.
I'd rather just be able to not die in our sleep anymore.
I'm going
any means.
I need to remember to enlarge your camp, or your tent. And make sure that's large enough. And yeah, I think we can set out and see if you guys can make it safely to Comminster.
Kazaram.
Or Kazaram, yeah.
Kazaram. Sorry.
Yeah, I love how I'm correcting the name and yet I'm still getting the name wrong. So, all right. So let us set forth. Let's get some checks going.
Right, I'm gonna use my survival to point us to Comminster.
Oh, and actually something I did forget as well. In the movement, because you guys are moving substantially faster, it is only 2 checks per travel, not 4 checks per travel.
Okay. Oh, good. We get to use all of our nat 20s there on perception rolls.
Yeah, and I bet I roll a 1 base number. Let's see. What do we got here?
The lion rolls a nat 20 on stealth.
Ooh, no,
Womp.
finally a different creature.
Oh, man.
The pride of super lions.
All right, how
Oh.
fast are these?
Slower than a cart.
They have the head of a lion, the body of a lion, the tail of a
No,
lion.
a lion. But they don't sound. Oh, wait. No, they do. They sound like a lion.
No, these will actually leave you be. For a little while as you guys are traveling, you notice that some of those very large wolves that you saw in the Crimson Council camp are following like a good distance behind the cart, sort of like they're waiting to see what you guys are about to do. But eventually they kind of like decide against it and move away from the cart. So give me the next leg of the travel.
Alright.
Ooh, look at those poor checks. That's exciting. Let me roll Spinksar's knowledge geography or you guys might get fucking lost. Okay, you do not end up lost.
Hooray.
Alright. And yeah, you also have the same thing as a pair of cheetahs, like try to keep up with the cart. And eventually they decide it's not really worth it. There's too many people, the cart is too large, and they just kind of like go their separate way. Lucky you're getting all these small packs. And
I'm very intimidating, you know.
and you will arrive in Kazarim. So, this is where Mal first met the rest of the group.
This is where there's a very powerful wizard for me to kill too.
There is a
Yep.
very powerful wizard here.
I was actually thinking about that, Zeke. I might have to say, like, just I would pull you aside as we're getting into this camp, and I'd say, Zeke, I know we've talked in private about this, that you have some sort of a wizard after you, right? Just be aware that even though I don't necessarily trust this guy, he has been useful so far. So,
Well, just be aware. Look for signs that he may recognize me. Maybe.
okay, we'll see. If do you know what the wizard that hunts you looks like? This is in private that I'm talking to you, by the way. Just
I know their voice.
you know his voice only. Okay. Okay. Well, if you're recognizing his voice, wink at me. Dude, that's what this means. It means I'm trying to relay private information to you. Do you understand?
Hit them with the Bardish. Got it.
All right.
All right.
To talk.
So you arrive in town. It is quite a ways into the early evening as you arrive. I believe, right? That is a little over, almost 50 miles. So you had to push it a little bit to get into town. But you get there as the sun starts to fade in the sky. Or as the last sun starts to fade in the sky.
What's the plan, Mal?
It's a Cassius or Arius. You seem to be. I don't recall exactly having a good interaction with this wizard, so you guys might want to take front on this.
Sure, I'm a spellcaster myself. I think we can make him agreeable at least a little bit.
Okay. You heading there in the evening, or are you guys going to rest for the night?
I think we'd probably try and take care of this tonight.
Okay.
Kind of
I
have a lot.
want to head right there.
All right.
Yeah, we have a lot of pretty urgent stuff, so
Got it.
I think we'd be trying to be as efficient as possible right now.
All right. So you will head to the town hall, and there you will find the same dwarven woman who is willing to make sure you get set up, or who you. I guess let's role play this out because this can go a number of different ways. Oh, it seems early for you to be here. Is it time already?
This is not about collection.
Oh.
We need to locate and the head wizard.
Let me see if I can reach him. Hold on. And she turns and writes something down. And after a few moments, he wants to know what you're here about.
In the past, we sort of scratched each other's backs on this last incident with helping restore the town to order. We were hoping he could help us with something in return.
I also have a small private matter I wish to discuss with him.
She turns and writes a note back. I'm sorry, he just doesn't seem very interested in talking to you.
Is this not military business, Mal? I don't think he has a choice.
I mean,
He seems to say he's not concerned with whatever it is that you're selling.
Tell him I have.
This task very well could help ensure the survival of this unit, which without the help of this unit, I think his chances of getting what he wants with this town will be substantially less if another unit has to take over our duties.
She turns and she writes something down again.
Also, just a quick, I'm trying to remember. When we went in his office or his place, were there, did it look like he was like, he really liked to read, like, I don't know if I looked at the papers or whatever.
He had like tons of books and papers flying about
So
the
it looked
room.
like he'd be interested in like research stuff, right?
Yes.
All right, I'll just speak up and say, perhaps add on there that the spellcaster that resisted his spell last time is interested in discussing researching of new spells.
Sure. She writes. No, I'm sorry. He's got no interest in speaking with you.
What?
I'm very sorry.
What's happening when she writes these down? She's sending them to him or sending them to
You're not really sure.
Yeah.
You're
Probably
really
not.
not sure how this works.
Well, we're
I didn't know if
watching
she
her. Are
was
we
like-
seeing like a paper respond to her or something, or what are we seeing?
So
Or is she doing it like behind closed area we can't see?
it's a
Yeah,
bit of a
obviously.
distance off. It's rather difficult to see whatever she's writing on. The way her desk is kind of like slanted around, so she's kind of turning to a spot where you guys are not allowed access when she writes down onto the piece of paper. Zeke, as far as you're concerned, she's telling the truth. It seems
Alright,
plausible, be that he could be tired because it's late.
Yeah. I'll
Oh, good.
I'll try and just like huddle us off so she can't hear us,
Mhm.
just so we can like regroup. Mal, this is directly like we were sent here for military purpose. Like he can't refuse us, right? Should we just meet with him in the
Well,
morning?
the military
Command?
order was that he may be of use, and they were hoping that he would help us. But it didn't sound like there was any sort of expectation from the military that he would.
Well, I think we should just rest tonight and then speak with him in the morning. If he doesn't speak with us, perhaps get a hold of Runa. She should demand his attention.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, peoples. Hey, peoples. Hey, I got some for you. I got some. You want it? There's like a little kid that's kind of rushed over. A little dwarven child has rushed over to you and is like handing you a piece of paper. Hey, I got some for you.
Is it a kid or a goblin?
I got some. No, if you were a goblin, it'd be like this. Hey, Jay, I got some. You want this? I got this.
Yeah, come on. Don't you
Handing
know
it to-
Steve's racial voices? Like he's got. Okay.
Is he just presenting it
Steve,
to the
what does a
group
black
or
guy
anyone in
sound like?
particular?
He's presenting
Oh,
it to the group.
Jesus. I'll
Does
I'll
it-
reach out for it.
Okay.
Does it appear to have a seal of a raven on it?
Who here can read Draconic?
Me.
I might be able to.
I have the language, so I don't know if that means I can just speak it or if I have written as well.
You can read it, presumably.
All right.
I've been studying.
All right, so it is a note written in Draconic, and it says, "Not in public, you idiots."
I had a feeling maybe. Yeah. So let's just take a rest tonight. Maybe you'll meet with us tomorrow. If not, we just come do what we came to do here without bothering this poor wizard. All right, guys. Let's find an inn.
Well, it sounds like he more just. He never gave us a confidential way of contacting, so I don't know how he expects us to.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Mal. He's not interested in seeing us. Let's move to an inn.
So
and
is there
let's
like
just
go to
is there
sleep.
like a waiting list we can get on to where he will see us?
There's no
Guys,
waiting
I-
list. If you want to
I-
speak to
I
him,
agree
try
with
again
Darius.
tomorrow. Perhaps
I agree
he's
with
tired.
Darius.
Yeah, we'll
It's
just
time
check back
to
tomorrow.
go.
We'll just go back to the inn.
I am
We'll go to the
extremely
inn that we were
tired.
in last time we were here.
All right.
That-
So
we'll
the
just get that same room that we
Yep.
were in before that we really liked.
you're
It was
given
very
the
comfy.
you are given the fancy room, and after a little while being in that room, there is a messenger who will knock at your door. The messenger will hand you a small envelope, and give me a perception.
Side of it is a raven.
Nope, nobody beat it. So yeah, he will he stick his hand out after he hands you the note.
I'll give him
Who answered the
5
door?
silver.
Okay. He takes 5 silver. Thank you. I appreciate that. This will go towards a good cause. And he will be on his way.
Good luck.
The note again says, permission to communicate with you. Yes or no?
I just do a quick detect magic to make sure there's no trickery involved this time.
If you detect magic, the note is clearly magical.
But do I detect anything other than just the normal, whatever the communication spell was before?
Nope.
Okay, great. I'll circle yes.
Okay.
He loves it when we say
When you do, the note disappears, and a spectral form of the wizard appears in front of you. You do not seem to understand. It is important that you not make things public. There are very, very careful plans in motion. Why are you here now? This had better be very important.
I say it is. If you want us to stay alive, we basically need your help.
How is your life in danger?
We basically fear that our deployment may be about to change, and if we do not return from this deployment, we will not be able to help you with arresting control of this town from the corrupt people that currently control it. I've run the numbers, and to our knowledge, the people that have been deployed in this area we must go are much beyond our current capabilities, which puts my probability of us returning without some sort of help at single digits.
And what are your needs?
A simple one from you, a use of your divination skills.
Just a simple use of my divinations. Certainly the military can provide that with relative ease.
Your divination is far beyond any of the magical skills of the military. We are...
It is, isn't it? Yes, it is.
Oh God, I'm stroking his ego.
Finally you understand. I can only assume then that whatever is going on, the military must not be able to break through something. Which issue is this? Is this the issue to the north or the issue to the south?
It'd be more to the... I mean, the mountain ranges are more to the west than anything, but I guess the north, right?
The north, yes. I'm talking of the continent itself.
Oh, yeah. The northern mountains.
Huh.
In my studies, it appears that's where a lot of the sources of these magic, and it could be interfering with lesser wizards' abilities to see through it.
Do you understand the great risks I could be putting myself at, peering into there? When last I've been doing my typical monitoring of the mountain ranges, that area comes up as a very deep gray. It would probably be a number of layers of work to find out what resides inside. I could be inciting something powerful to come forth and seek what looks upon it, if I'm not careful. Or potentially even if I am.
I see. I mean, the thing is, it already seems to be creeping forward, whatever it is. They won't give us many details. I don't know if you know additional details about this, from what you've been able to see. But at the present, we know next to nothing. We are going to be going in completely unprepared. And like I said, if we are lost, we're kind of the only unit that has an appreciation of magic in the military at the moment.
As you're saying all that, he walks over to he walks through the room over to a point, and then picks up something. Now has a sheet of paper in his hand, and he's a very wide sheet of paper, and he's like looking back and forth across it. You're right. It is growing. I don't know. I didn't notice it at first, but it is growing. So they are moving out already. Well, I think I can do as you ask, but I'm going to need a few things from you, if you can acquire them.
Especially if they help you do this safely, in a way that will avoid any attention, then we can certainly do our best to acquire them.
I need a very large emerald. I need one that probably would cost somewhere around the range of 4,000 to 6,000 gold.
Jesus.
Where would we even look
Iamade.
to acquire an emerald of this size?
I'm not
Surely
sure.
most towns don't even have this, right?
They do not. We would have the money to afford it, but I don't know of any place that would have an emerald of that magnitude on hand. But without it, I cannot attempt to break through what layers of protection they have there. Can I have Arius give me a intel check?
Straight up intel.
Or knowledge history? Or knowledge local,
Remember
actually.
Seeing it at Blacksmith Inc.
I have no
Knowledge
ranks
local
in any of
history.
those.
By the way, Zeke, have you recognized this guy's voice?
Steve, I assume this isn't the dude, right?
This is not the guy.
Yeah,
So I look at Zeke and you are not winking at me?
correct.
Okay, so Arius, from your check, you do remember that there are some pretty large emeralds that are in Mukmak. Like, one of the gems that they have there are emeralds. You're the only member of the party that would remember that, too, because you're the only member of the party that was alive when that all happened.
So thinking real hard, and then I say, Mukmak. I recall seeing emeralds that size. perhaps
What's a Mukmak? Ugly goblin word.
Village. By the way, Reckless, I have small question for you later before you leave.
Yes, yes.
Same here.
I would check my whatever new ledger the Tameli gave us. What is the current amount that is now owed by Mukmak to the military?
You actually don't know. It's on a wrapped up piece of paper from the military, and then it's sealed with a signet ring.
Oh, I see.
So you don't know what you're actually bringing there to ask them for.
What I know, like out of knowledge of the military, essentially, would it given that they've given us priority for this, would it be within acts of the military to use funds from the taxes to help a military purpose?
That'll be a little difficult to know for certain without actually being able to communicate with the military. You do know that even just in making your arrangement with the shifters, they were pretty frustrated that you were making deals on their behalf before they'd, without consulting with them about potential deals.
I see. Do you have any long-term communication abilities? I asked the wizard.
Long distance or long term?
Long distance. If you
Yes.
could contact our commander for us, and we could potentially arrange this emerald be delivered to you.
And whom is your commanding officer?
Immediately in command would be Tameli.
This is going to take a lot. I may flicker for a moment.
Okay.
And you watch him cast a spell. And there's a moment of pause. And then, not even close.
Didn't think so.
And then there is a moment that he kind of ebbs in and out of vision. And then Tonelli's spectral form is standing in the room with you.
Tonelli, the wizard has agreed that he will attempt to help us with our situation in the north. However, he does not possess an emerald that he needs. And we believe that Mukmak, who currently owes us Taxes has emeralds of these size in our possession, and we were wondering if it would be in the interest of the military to use them for this purpose.
Of what size?
I described the size that the wizard said, roughly 4 to
Holy
6,000.
shit! Do you think Mukmak has something that large? Arius, I know you said it was littered with gems. Did you see larger size ones?
I believe there was a few scattered around, but I don't know if they have ample supply of them. Maybe just one or two or a few.
The money we're requesting from Mukmak is not that significant a value. I'm concerned that if we ask for more, they're probably going to want more from us. And the arrangements we're willing to make with Mukmak might not be substantial enough. You have my order to try to work out a deal to get this emerald. If you can manage to succeed at achieving it, get it back to Kazaram at once.
And what contingencies should we be operating under? What would we be willing to give them in addition that the military would consider worthwhile for this purpose?
It is hard to say. I'm going to allow it to be left to your judgment.
Okay. And for what it's worth, it does sound like whatever is in the north is beginning to spread.
Yes, that's what we were afraid of. It's spreading quite a bit, actually. Get it right. God.
I clarify quite a bit, as the very wise wizard has noted.
Well, you have my authorization. Is there anything else you need? I would like to get back to my rest. Heracles gets kind of like, frustrated at his comment and just kind of like waves a hand and Tonelli disappears. That guy's a dick. Now,
Good one.
Yeah.
get the emerald and bring it back here, and I'll take care of what you need. Fair?
Fair.
Good.
Yep.
The rest of you probably need to sleep, so...
Nope. Quick question. Remember?
Oh, I thought I would get out of this. What?
It's
I have
interesting.
one
I'll
quick
save mine
question.
for last. Let Cassius go first.
Ask
Mine.
your question.
I was just going to ask what kind of information you could give us about these things to the south you were talking about.
I
I'm
do...
going to kind of like turn my face and see if he looks at the thing that's growing on my face.
Out near the old capital, Moraxis, there is a very... How do I say this without blowing your mind? There is a castle that floats in the air.
Not that mind blowing.
Does Miraxis line up with my line of for my Wayfinder?
Potentially.
Okay, so that could be related to that. Okay.
There
The
is
castle
something
problem?
very powerful that has taken hold over the castle. It isn't doing a great job protecting itself from being scryed upon, but the castle itself has protections in place to stop me from seeing too deep, so I can see the outside, and occasionally I've caught glimpse of what look to be claws, but I'm not sure if that's the creature that resides there, or simply something that's in it. Maybe a pet, maybe something more, but the primary inhabitant doesn't seem to leave very often. I can see a very strong resonance of evil energy coming from there, but aside from that, I cannot be certain what else lies there.
And it's mostly stationary, I'm assuming.
Mostly.
Good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And quickly, Reckless.
No, hold on. I have one question back for Cassius as payment for my answer.
Certainly.
Why are you interested?
I've got this thing. I'll go ahead and show it to him.
Wayfinder,
he, reacts at all.
yes. What is it doing? It's
Pointing me towards there.
No, it points north.
Or in the direction of that area.
Wayfinders point north.
I'm going to look at it now. Is it pointing north directly?
It is right now pointing north.
Well, you see, when I do one of these...
He comes over closer and looks at it.
Does it go back to pointing down there?
It's pointing down that way, and then you take your finger off.
Don't want to reveal my location. I'm sure I already did, but
when you bring back the emeralds, bring that to me as well. I'd like to examine it, and I might be able to help you even further with whatever this is that's in this thing.
Something with the ethereal realm, something in that ballpark.
I'm quite certain. But though, wait. That gives me an idea. When you get back, we'll look further.
Sounds good. Thanks.
And you, what is your question?
When we were in your humble study, it looked like you're a very learned man. Yes.
Yes, clearly.
I'm thinking of getting into the research business myself. Is there any properties here you recommend I invest into for a suitable place to do this?
I recommend you don't invest here.
Oh, okay.
With what we have discussed, there may be some issues with property ownership here. Find yourself a place that's developing, and then import your research items.
All right.
I know a great warehouse where you can do all your studying.
Thanks for the advice.
Yes. Now, what are you interested in researching?
Instead of relying on others to give me strength, I want to create my own spell.
Mm-hmm. If it is spells you're interested in researching, perhaps we can discuss things when you return as well. In exchange for, if your spell is interesting enough, perhaps we can make an exchange. My time in exchange for partial rights to your spell.
Interesting. All right. We'll discuss it when we come back.
Good.
I do have one quick follow-up.
Oh my god, yes, what?
Just any idea on what that claw is that you were talking about?
No, I don't. If I did,
Okay.
I wouldn't be so interested in your Wayfinder.
All right. All I wanted.
Are we done here?
I think so.
I have things to research. Good night. And he disappears. All right.
Always the charmer, that one.
All right, so you guys, I'm assuming we'll rest for the evening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, and that is where we will break for tonight. So let's dish some experiences.
Nope, I'm level 5.
Nice.
You definitely defeated the Dire Lion.
Sure did.
And you officially completed the other quest. You officially completed the full Lukill quest, so there's some XP in there, and definitely 200 for role playing. We forgot recap once again. I need to stop forgetting recap.
That's all right. We'll just have Michelle do it next time.
It would have been a pretty tedious recap. It was just like a logistics session, right?
It was mostly a logistics session, yes.
It was dungeons and logistics.
And spreadsheets.
So altogether, everybody can take 1,600 experience.
Alright, 16,000 XP. I'm level
No,
5.
1600 experience. Spinksara is actually only 400 XP away from. Actually, no. She is 600 XP away because you don't get role playing experience when you're not here.
Ooh.
There we go. That was absurd. Thank God we have that rule in place.
Oh yeah, God, it really wanted you to end up with no hit points.
It really wanted me to just get 1 or 2.
Jesus.
All right, so you are now at 5, Mel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you said it was 1600 we gained, right?
1600. Yes, and 15,000 is next level. Is 5th level.
Gotcha.
So how close are you,
Only,
Cassius?
I'm about 525 away.
Okay, and Tom, you're at what, like 4,000 away?
4,300 or so.
Yeah.
Oh, is that all?
All right, so if you guys can stick around for a little bit after the call, after I end the video, to discuss a few things, that would be awesome. But yeah, otherwise, we'll wrap up for the night. So, good night to everybody. I'll run a commercial before we exit out, because I can now. But yeah, take care.
Shit.
You good? Okay, I'll be back in a second. I gotta pee.
What the fuck just happened?
Tom's house is on fire.
I
Not
thought
even
he was
exaggerating.
joking when you were like running a commercial. I didn't see what he was actually doing.